Are you tired of forcing things through, whether in your job, your personal life, your health? And it's just really exhausting to always force and fight through circumstances in the world. Well, then this conversation is just for you. Today we're talking about surrender. And welcome to I Am Reality Now, where I am Stephania.
Hi, Mitch.
And on that,
And Matt is here to share his point of view, his viewpoint on surrendering and going with the flow of the universe and how that really allows us to be consistently fulfilled in the present moment.
Yeah, this is going to be a great episode today. We're going to talk about surrender with Matt Penner. And I've known him as a friend in business and also professionally. He has a business. And Matt, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about what you do?
hi everyone. My name is Matt Penner. I'm a spiritual healer. My business name is Matt Penner Spiritual Healing. I provide what I call integrative Reiki healings, right? Integrate many modalities of Reiki into the session, such as the traditional Reiki energy and the shamanic energies as well, as well as multidimensional angelic modalities into the session. I'm also a Akashic Record past life healer, a shamanic practitioner, and also many modalities of energy healing that I do practice as well.
Yes, thank you very much for joining the program. Today, our theme is on surrender, and it's going to be a very exciting one. We're going to really go into different elements of surrender, how we embody the wish fulfilled, how we purify different experiences. Matt's going to give us his take also on meditation, Reiki healing, which is very exciting for us. And let's kick it off. Steph, why don't you kick it off?
So yeah, guys. So when we were talking to Matt, he's familiar with Neville Goddard, so are all of us. He loves the concept of I am and how like the mind gets to decide. And when we were having the conversation, we were also talking about how there is a gentle surrender and going with the flow through the decisiveness of choosing what you want to experience, but also allowing, right? Like not being so set in stone of like, this is the only way I can get there. And that's what this conversation is going to be about how like surrendering to circumstances allow us to follow the yellow brick road, right? Like it doesn't have to be this or nothing physically, right? However, if you're going through a circumstance, it could be that that circumstance is actually leading to the development of the thing you're actually deeply desiring, right, Matt?
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe you can give us an example of how you surrender. How do you help your clients surrender? How do you help yourself surrender? How do you purify what you don't prefer to what you do prefer?
To me, I guess it's understanding spiritual principles of how the universe works. Unfortunately, like I think in our societal programming, there's a sense of control that we feel like we need to do. We need to feel like we need to control the outcome or control what we expect or we perceive or we need. But I feel like when we give off that vibration of needing, wanting, have to have, it's coming from a place of lack, not a place of fulfillment, not a place of the I am, which Neville Goddard brilliantly teaches us. So I feel like when we install principles such as trust, trusting ourselves, trusting our environment, trusting what's giving into the present, and trusting ourselves to create and transmute a better world for us. And acceptance. I feel like accepting what's given to us, accepting the outcome, accepting where we are in the present, accepting our emotions, to be able to come to terms with them and to be able to figure out a way of how do I want to become a better person. And I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with Dolores Cannon. She was very
Yes.
inspirational in quantum
Hmm.
healing. Then she best described when part of her clients, with thousands and thousands of testimonials, many of them have gave the explanation of why we're here on Earth is to transmute energy. The Earth is the biggest school of that, biggest school of how can we work through energy. So how can we learn? We have to learn through the experience. We have to actually experience what it's like to experience challenging and negative emotions. And over a course of patterns of time, we learn how to gain wisdom from that to be able to best in our lives work through them to transmute the outcome to become the higher vibration that we were born with to begin with. It's just
Yeah, yeah.
surrendering what we can't control, and just taking our hands off and say, hey, it is what it is. I'm just learning not to affect who you are as a person, to be able to still feel and hold, to feel love, to feel the I am, and be able to work through that in that sense, and then allowing the universe to bring you the energy that it wants to do. That clear path to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I identify very much with Dolores Cannon. I know that she's a great spiritual teacher about how to teach to create energy, that we're here as a earth school. We're here almost she looks at it that earth is a school to learn how to create and how to manipulate energy. She uses those words, manipulate energy. When we say manipulate energy, what we're really saying is meaning. Right? We're manipulating meaning because there's infinite meanings about everything. There's infinite meanings about what happened in the past, what you think's going to happen in the future. That's what manipulating energy is, because when you change that meaning, you change reality. When you look at a scenario and you say, well, this is happening. No, it's not what it appears to be. That's judgment. Well, let's do righteous judgment. That's manipulating energy. And that's what Dolores Cannon is truly teaching: the manipulation of meaning, the manipulation of speaking the word, manipulation of perception. So that's really what we're doing. It's changing the interpretation. And the way I look at surrender in this way is profound. And this is something that came to me in most recent days, is that, well, like you said, Matt, everyone's looking for, I want this to happen already, right? I want this to happen already, right? But what are we really saying? We're really saying is we're looking for signs. Like, okay, where's the sign? Where's the sign? But the thing is, you're the sign. There is no signs. Everything's happening as you embody it. So there really is no sign. So I think that's really a different way of looking at it. And also realizing that there's no rushing to have anything, because if you're rushing to have something, you're saying, I'm not yet. Just something that we were talking about before we started the program is, I am not yet. So the moment you're saying, I want it now, why isn't it now? You're saying I'm not yet, and you keep experiencing I'm not yet. So you have to realize that every goal, every vision is like a seed, right? So you plant the seed. The seed can't be rushed. You can't say, let's grow already. Let's grow already. Creation takes its time. Like Neville says, yeah, I think a human is 9 months, and an animal, a bird, is this many months, and this many months. It has its own time, and you can't really say, I want it now. If you surrender, and that's the theme here, surrender, it's going to grow in harmony and contribution. It's going to grow ideally, and it's happening right now. Every seed you plant is actually, the moment you put it in the ground, it's growing. It's not growing before, it's growing after. So the fact that a seed is growing after means that the unseen is becoming seen after. Signs follow, they don't precede. So they have to be following, even though you don't see them, the seed has to be growing. So to say that, I want it to happen now and where's the signs, it doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense to say it. It's nonsense, right? It's nonsensical. So I really
See, though,
relate.
you're saying too, where though, like I want this now, I need to have this now. It's like
Right,
I'm not good enough. Lack is what the
right.
universe is hearing from you. Where the seed, the example you use, seed grow. I need you to grow. It's saying I feel this is not good enough, so I need you to grow because I'm full of lack. That's what the universe is hearing from you. So you just take your hands off. I trust
Yep,
the seed. I trust the workings of. I can't see it now, but I trust it. I trust in my heart. I can feel it. I feel the interconnection of the universe that the seed is going to grow, and then just living my life, and then all of a sudden, look at the seed, look at the flower. And about signs is, yes, the idea of I need this sign again. What's the root cause of it? The I need, the lack. That's what it's
right,
setting up. I need a sign. Taking your hands off, and
right.
then the outcome mirrors to what is already inside you, what you want in the first place. It mirrors the embodiment of your trust, of your acceptance, of your faith in your love.
Yeah, I'll just add one more point, then I'll let Stephania jump in. And what we're really saying is that the now moment is, your entire power is in the present moment, right? And to say that you don't have that power in the present moment, you're missing out on performing a miracle. And what I also want to add is that it's mistaken identity. It's actually a mistaken identity for you to say that where is it, why isn't it now? But that's like saying I'm not yet, and I am not yet is mistaken identity. So all of the power you're putting forth is completely you're surrendering your free will in that moment. And I am is your identity. So that's why it's simply nonsensical and mistaken identity. And this is really to learn who you are. Just like going back to Dolores Cannon, this is a school to learn who you are. And that's why it's so powerful. Steph?
I have a lot to say.
Mm.
The thing is that, look, the way I see it is that we get to choose what experience we get to have in the first person, right? And I think what we're all teaching here and sharing with the world is that we have a much better experience when we remove that tension and that angst, thinking that we have to chase after something. Because essentially, the way I see it and I've experienced it is that if I have a vision, it's something I just know is going to happen in my life. Right? Now, when it comes to the time component, it really depends on what you're willing to experience. So, for example, let's say if we're looking at a plant, right? Let's say I want flowers, right? I want a bush full of flowers. Now, I can buy the seed, learn how to grow a seed, watch the plant grow, and it's a different experience than buying the entire plant, like the bush with the flowers already. And I can do that, right? And it's happened to me where it's funny because I've actually looked at a room, I visualized like it would be nice to have a flower there. Now, somebody can give me the seeds, I can buy the seeds, or I can literally find like an actual grown plant being thrown away downstairs in my building where I'm like, oh, this is like the plant that I was visualizing and see it. So they're different experience, but they're also fulfilling kind of like the vision that I had. So in the way that somebody could say, I want to be in a mansion of like 10 rooms. Now, if you want to own one, that's a different experience. Now you have to be responsible for the 10-room house, even though you can delegate the responsibilities to maybe the house staff, but that's learned behavior, right? You have to learn how to actively be responsible for a 10-bedroom home. Now, if you say, I want to be in a 10-bedroom home, you can be there as a guest, or you can be there as a tenant, or you can be there even as somebody that's working at the home. So it's very interesting how we have these ideas, yet the experiences can be infinite, right? So it depends how instant you want to experience something because if you really want to experience beautiful gardens and a beautiful large home, you don't necessarily even need to own it or learn how to get the finances and the funds to get there. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So there's so many different paths of getting the experience that you prefer.
Oh, absolutely. It's an infinite way. And as our pre-discussion before this interview, I think we made a lot of good points as far as just putting your intention out, your vision out, what you feel in your heart you like to manifest, and just letting go, just like putting the seed in the ground and just letting it go, and then trusting that it's going to grow the way it's supposed to be, and just trusting the how part, the how it gets you the infancy of the universe. There's infinite paths, there's infinite parallel lives of lines that can bring brought to us, and trust me, when we align ourselves into a high frequency and a high vibration of love, that's the mirror that will come to us.
Yeah. And essentially, like we were talking about before, also, like for me, it's just relaxing the body and the mind. Like it always, I think, tries to get ahead of itself. Like even if something as simple as exercise, it's like, oh, why is it physically not instantly how I see it in my mind? Which I recommend to all our viewers: see it within, decide within, and let the actions and the image follow. The reflection is going to follow the action, which the action follows the identity, right? And it's very true because now you're not fighting against something like, "Oh, I'm doing all this for nothing." No, you already decided who you're gonna be, who you are. Not who you're gonna be, sorry, you already decided who you are, and, your ideas, the resources, the actions follow, so there's nothing to fight, right? And an example that I wanna share with you guys is, like, even yesterday, I was having, like, the most peaceful walk with my boyfriend, looking at the trees. That was it was awesome, awesome weather. He was holding my hand. This is, like, my ideal partner, and my mind is racing like, "I'm bored. I wanna do something. I wish I was doing something else." And then I had to confront myself, like, I am living the life of my dreams. I dreamt this up. At some point, last year, I was having this walk by myself. I was walking by myself. I was still enjoying the trees, but I dreamt up I imagined somebody holding my hand that I loved, and here he was, and now my mind is like, "I'm bored. What do I want now?" So it's so silly. So it's like really confronting yourselves, like, "Hey, use your abilities to do something proactive or like visualize something more if that's what you want, but like enjoy the moment that you created, or chose to experience."
Yeah. Yeah, I look at exactly what Matt, what Steph's saying really is manipulating energy, exactly what Dolores Cannon is talking about. We are manipulating energy. Steph's going along and saying, "Okay, well, I'm bored, but wait, what's really happening? Let me look at this from the way I prefer." Because to persist in your state of being, right? To persist in the wish fulfilled, you're going back to thinking from what you're looking to be. And so it's infinite points of view, and you're really disrupting reality, right? You're disrupting energy, just like Dolores Cannon said. You're disrupting energy. You're manipulating. It's the same thing as manipulating energy, disrupting energy, manipulating, because we're looking at it completely differently. So, Steph, on one hand, she's saying, "I'm bored." Wait a second, no, I'm not bored.
Yeah.
Radical. That's radical, right? Right, Matt? Do you see the points we're
Yeah,
making?
literally, I was like, "No, this is the life of my dreams." And
Right.
and it takes courage, you guys, and that's where I say like um there's an importance of going with the flow, of course, and your real life, like observe with curiosity, see where like life is taking you, be open to opportunities, obstacle to opportunity, right? Is that positive mindset and like your energy that's really going to keep opening doors for you. And also, like, you can have a vision for yourself, because um, we have a friend Robert that's also on the channel. Without vision, the people perish. He keeps saying that, and it keeps resonating in my mind. Like, who am I today? Like, who am I choosing to be? And yeah, that helps a lot.
Yeah, Matt, how do you look at these experiences? How do you think from what your state of being is? Do you have that as well? What's your vision? What's your
Oh
perception
yeah,
of
my
this?
perspective is that Stephanie was able to shift her energy, be able to shift the outcome instead of like, okay, I'm bored, there's nothing to do. You take that second of like, you know what, I'm going to shift that in a split second, you allowing the intuition, I call it our higher self, our spirit team to come in to fill in what is going to be a higher state for her. But it's that sense of trust. So I look at it, she was in a state of trust. She was in a state of acceptance. I accept where I am, but I know that there's a higher level, a higher frequency that I can be attained. So be able to allow that in and then pop in your head, oh, I can ride a bike. I can go on a walk with my boyfriend. To allow that to come in. To be able to manipulate what I call transmute the energy into a higher state, align feel like your mental as long as emotional and spiritual energy inside to create that outcome.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, Steph, go ahead. You gonna say something?
No, I I was just agreeing.
Yeah,
It's
I was
fine.
just gonna say that um we are really actors on stage. We really are. And Neville calls it a soliloquy, right? We're a one man act almost, because Matt, the way I look at it is we're the only experiencer of everything, right? We're the only experiencer. Yeah, we could say Steph is experiencing, but I'm the only one experiencing everything. I'm the only experiencer of everything. So everything is kind of computed in consciousness. Everything you ever experience is within yourself. How you perceive others, how do you perceive yourself, how do you perceive what the world is? Is the world a glorious place? Is it not? Is my friends great? Are they not? Is the day bright? Is the day beautiful, or is it not? There's infinite meanings to everything, and you're the actor, and it's a soliloquy. and you really change reality on the spot because reality is the meaning. So whether you think it's boring and it's not, well, reality is instantly changed. What was you thought was boring wasn't. And you believe it 100% because when you entertain what you prefer, it's effortless. I look at it as effortless because like we talked about earlier, it's from the heart, right? And like Dr. Joe Dispenza says, you cannot want when you're in love. You don't even have the ability to want. It goes away. It's purified because that's the power of love. That's the power of what you prefer. It's love. And that's why it's sheer power. That's why you can manipulate energy, as Dolores says. That's why you can change reality, as Dolores said. You can't perceive the difference. Steph can't perceive the difference between she was bored and she's not. She thinks it's happening now. She doesn't think she's bored anymore. I mean, is that how you perceive it too? That you can, this is how we manipulate energy, and you could do it in your own life too.
Yes, absolutely. She, what's it called, was able to say, hey, the feeling of a higher frequency, a higher relational love, and be able to manipulate of what's coming. Okay, I'm not bored. I'm going to rise myself into a higher frequency of love and be able to change the outcome through her mental, emotional, and spiritual state. Now let's use
Yeah.
another person. Let's use the average Joe Schmo, right? They only seeing things at face value. Oh, there's nothing to do here. I am really bored, not just the mental of what they're saying, that's a thing you can circle, but also how they're feeling. Why do they feel that they're bored? Why do they limit themselves? The root cause of it. Why are they limiting themselves of everything? And that's as a spiritual healer, that's what we discuss. We go back to some of the experiences they might have had early in life, and then doing some of the regression sessions I offer, going back to, I call it the soul's journey, be able to place the soul's journey, why they feel this limitation on why I cannot create this reality as someone like Stephanie can.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll just make one more point, then I'll jump it off to Steph. Is the final point of the example that Steph gave, which I love the example, is condition, and this is the bottom line, conditional fulfillment. It's not conditional, it's
Yeah.
unconditional. And Steph could say, "Hey, I'm bored. I'm waiting for my boyfriend to do something. Like, when is he going to do something? I want a sign. Like, show me I'm not bored." She's not. She is what I call, or what we call here, is performing a miracle. She performed a miracle. She's saying, "No, that's not true. I'm with my ideal partner. We're having the time of our lives." That is right there is
Right.
unconditional fulfillment. We're taking away the signs. We're taking away where is it? We're taking it's
Yeah.
profound when you think about it. And people, this is what we teach on the channel, is that we're causing an effect. Steph is causing an effect. She is unconditional because you're tapping into the love you are, and you're saying, no, ideal partner. I mean, that's off the chart, right? We're going from boredom to ideal partner. I mean, that's radical. That's radical. It's disrupting
Yeah.
reality. And that's really what I really want to showcase here in this conditional fulfillment versus unconditional fulfillment versus Dolores Cannon manipulating energy, bending reality. Steph, I'm sure you got some
Yeah,
something to
and
say
I
on that.
think what really helped me in my own development was knowing that I can lead energy despite the circumstances, but it's not something I'm fighting, right? So before all this, a lot of you guys know that I came from fitness. So it was very forceful, where it was, I need to stick to this set of rules, this exercise schedule, this food schedule. And I felt like I was lacking oxygen, right? Because I was forcing myself through the system that was essentially too far away from where I was, right? And it was, I mean, did I get results? Sure. Was it fun? Like, it wasn't really, and was it sustainable? So what ended up happening is that I realized that I can decide in my mind and I can play with the energy of what I prefer before it's happening physically, right? So it's like, in a way, when you don't know anything, let's say you're just in a bus, right? You're in a bus and somebody else is driving for you and you're looking around and sometimes you see a tornado or you see sunny skies and you're just manipulated emotionally by the mood being presented to you, right? But then you find out, hey, I can, even if it's a storm, I can start imagining, what if there isn't a storm? What would I prefer, right? Like, you start using your like imagination to be like, oh, would I rather be in a beach? Would I rather be in a desert? Would I rather be in, I don't know, the Egyptian's mountains or a roller coaster? It doesn't really matter, but you're giving yourself freedom to lead your emotional states despite whatever's being seen. And you're not going to fight a storm. You're not going to go out into the middle of the storm with like an axe and be like, get out of here. And that's the whole
Right.
thing that we're saying. Like, there is a sense of surrendering to what's happening in front of you without blame, shame, or condemnation, you guys. I think a lot of people in the spiritual world is like, what did I do to deserve this? Who's punishing me? Or like, how did I manifest this? Right. And no, like, if it just shows up, it's because awareness is expansive and it's infinite and it's so creative. It's like so beautiful, but you get to decide. You're like, okay, this is the experience. Do I want to stay here? Do I want to be a storm chaser? That's an option, right? That could be fun. And then you can make a whole career out of that in a YouTube channel. Or you're like, "Wait, I actually like beaches and relaxations," right? And but you get to explore is kinda what I'm saying, and then now the more and more I lead my life, it's never through forcing anything. I'm imagining it internally. I'm like, okay, well, if I want to change my body, I start imagining how it feels to be healthier, right? And I play with the energy so much internally that eventually I start taking action. I stop eating certain foods. I stopped drinking wine, which is kind of annoying, but I did it. And like it comes like organically. I was like, this is crazy. Like I'm not
Yeah.
actively forcing these things, but I was just playing with it. So I was like, okay, well, this is how I want to look. This is how I want to feel. I wanted to have more energy. And then every time I didn't have energy, I was like, okay, I'm gonna revise that I feel more agile. What would an agile person feel like? So I was imagining myself taking walks, being active, not being sore on my lower back. So then what happens? I started taking the steps to do it, which is so funny. And that's kind of what I share, that the physical world is not the end all be all. There's different ways and infinite ways that you're going to get the outcome that you prefer, such as Mitch and Matt being here together with me. We met in very like interesting ways, which were fun and really random, really, and synchronistic, which could be another conversation. But like, it's like, okay, well, even if the obstacle was like really annoying, you're like, okay, well, I know I'm always safe and supported. I'm always safe and supported. That's why and you get to tell your body that I'm safe and supported because I am loved by the entire universe. The entire universe is here to love and support me and take me to the best path possible. It already knows what I want because I am connected to it all, right? So every single person is here to remind me, whether in a positive way or in a, oh, you're never going to get it. And now you get to be like, that's silliness. Like, I always get what I want. I mean, and I always get my vision of love and security, right? And share it with the world. So sorry, I spoke too much again.
So it's all good. Matt, yeah,
Yeah.
you've been very
Very beautifully
inspiring
said.
to us. You've been very
Thank you.
Matt, you've been very inspiring to us, and that's why it's amazing how the bridge of incidents happened, that you came into our lives. You're into spiritual healing. You're able to inspire the story today of surrender, and we thank you for that. And that just contributes to everybody's, benefit in harmony and contribution. So what's your thoughts on that and what Steph said?
Yeah, I think it was beautifully said. It's like her taking action is already her feeling inside of the empowerment. She just feels and knows empowerment, not the mental part of it, but it's just this feeling of empowerment. So when it comes to play, you know what? I'm going to make the best use of my day because I am deserving. That's like the vibrational signal that I'm feeling as an empath is when she lays. You know what? I can switch my reality. I don't have to just lie in a lower frequency of negativity. I can say, you know what? I accept what's given to us. And you mentioned before, coming from the fitness world, there was a part of your soul that felt like this didn't align to a certain scripture of what you were doing. Because the fitness instructor said you had to do this, you had to do that. This is the only way that you're going to get fit. Part of your soul felt like, no, there are multiple ways to get to
Yeah.
the outcome that you wanted to get. You had to take a step back, and that's where I would also try to guide my clients as well, is listening to your intuition. I call it the higher self and your spirit team. Just taking a second to ask a question to ourselves and giving that pause, that 4 to 5 second pause. The first thing that comes to you is what your soul is connecting to you. And I feel like that's what you're expressing in those examples of, okay, what should I do today? Oh, I should hold my hand. I feel I can, the image contact. I can hold my boyfriend's hand. I can see a walk in the trees. And it's all coming to you
Exactly.
when you opened up and essentially asked that question. You didn't literally ask the question, but you were sending that signal and the universe listened and it received and sent back to you. And trusting that's key. Trusting that. Because a lot of times when I work with clients, they'll tap in, but then something how they perceive is illogical. And that's where they're like, I don't know. I can't see myself doing this. Doesn't make any sense. And it kind of just rattles off. Well, you have to get back to center of just trusting it, playing. Like you said, I like the word you use, playing with the energy. Just play with it, relax as well. Relax, be comfortable, and then
Yeah.
not to overthink or analyze about it, and it'll come to you. And a week later, I'll get a message of like, oh, you know what? I just sat with it, and then I wasn't thinking about it, and this popped into my head. I'm like, see, it all kind of wraps
Yeah.
around.
And I think the key word is also love, like, 'cause you can do anything with love, like, force is so exhausting, and people do get results with that, and it's just not sustainable for me, and I think most of us, right? So, that's why love comes in, and you're like, you can lovingly imagine these things for yourself, right? And I do believe that as we send it out, we get it back. So for me, it's like love everything. It's not just like I'm only gonna imagine good things for myself. It's like I love my life. I love the people around me. I love every single person I run across. Even if it's like somebody that's screaming and being belligerent, you send them love. Why? Because they obviously need it, right? So they're not so aggressive and belligerent. And that's, I think, like a really good thing to share with people that this is not about like being selfish, like, oh my God, what more things can I get? This is really spreading love and harmony in my life because that's the image, that's the art I want to create out of my life. Beautiful sceneries, being loved by my boyfriend, going on vacation, and then offering that to everybody else too, because it is accessible to all of us. Like I can love my neighbor, I can love the angry person down the street, right? And the interesting thing is I think the more we do this, we're gonna see the evidence that it works. And it's free, right? Like it's free right now for all of us watching. Like like, just reimagine people with love in your heart. Reimagine your boss, reimagine your parents, reimagine maybe your teachers from high school. Right, Mitch?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I look at it that you're really being yourself, right? Being love is being yourself. And anything else is mistaken identity. For us not to give love is not we don't feel comfortable with that. It's like we don't really want to do it. We don't want to be angry at people. We don't genuinely want that. But it's just simply that it's a mistaken identity. It's an illusion. It's not really true. And the more that we're being ourselves, we are believing in ourselves. And as a result of that, you get reference experience. And as a result of that, you get faith
Yeah,
building. So, for example, today, so Matt, I'm sure that through this, being on our channel today is going to give you faith. It's going to raise your consciousness, right? Like, wow, I met Mitch, now we're doing a program. That's reference experience. That's something no one could take away from you. You realize, for instance, just as an example, Matt, you could say to yourself, I believe in myself. I see my vision, and wow, look what's happened. Now I'm talking to Stephanie and Mitch. That's profound when you think about it. See, this is being conscious. It's not being unconscious, because if you were unconscious, you say, well, I got lucky, met Mitch, and now we're doing that would be unconscious. But our power and our gift and birthright is being conscious, being aware, being as I am, not having mistaken identity of unconsciousness, not conditional fulfillment. This is what we're
yeah,
doing today is unconditional fulfillment. And you come away with it saying, yeah, I do create my own reality. I am manipulating energy. I am bending reality. I'm experiencing my highest excitement. I'm on these amazing journeys with, people like Mitch and Steph, and I'm having a great time. And also this reinforces who I am because now I'm believing in myself. It is true. I am experiencing it. I feel great doing it, and I'm having more experiences. And I'm sure, Matt, as you be as I am, you're having amazing experiences. You're getting recognized by your peers, and that's because you're being as I am. And that's why this program is so great, because I love doing it with Steph as well as you, Matt, today, is because we get to see how, and you get to see how this is happening. You get to see how you're believing in yourself, and being is the only reality, and being as I am, because then you get to experience more of who you are, more of what you prefer. And these are not just mere coincidences, they're synchronicities of energy, as Dolores Cannon would say. You agree, Matt?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like our experiences are a reflection of our own energy. So, Stephanie, you mentioned the example about the angry neighbor, the person being angry. that's just his angry. That's just his own hurts, his own energy, whatever suffering that he is working through. And then for yourself, just be able to embody that state of love and having that empathy for that neighbor to extend that love to him, even if the neighbor's not ready to, let's say, if he is open to receiving it, then that's okay. Because it's all about your intention embodying is who you are and be able to persist through that. And honestly probably planting the seed for him. You might not have been completely open to receiving yet, but it's just a little seed that can spark, like you mentioned earlier on this podcast, to grow into a huge flower. So it's just be acting with intention,
Hmm.
acting with this constantly working on ourselves to become in this state of love and being what we're God given, our essence to embody, to feel, to be.
Yep, 100%. And I think we're kind of winding down the time. Steph, did you want to have any parting words? And then Matt, like, I think Matt was do a nice
No, I'm
meditation with
just
us.
I'm just happy that Matt is here. I'm happy that you guys are watching us. He is a Reiki master practitioner. He also has his own website. You guys can visit him in the description below. You're gonna have his information. Remember, if you want to be in our channel, if you want to share a story, if you want us to help you clarify some things, you're more than welcome. We have an email. Also, you have our coaching information below if you want some personal one-on-one. Then, Mitch, you want to take it away?
Yep. Thanks, Matt Penner, for joining us. We appreciate it on this episode of what we entertain as I Am Surrender today. So, on that note, let's just take some takeaways here. And surrender is about manipulating energy, it's about transmuting energy, it's about looking at energy as unconditional and not conditional. And you're really disrupting reality because that's what you're doing with energy. And Matt, I think really with Reiki and energetic healing really helps us understand what manipulating energy is all about. So on that note, I am Mitch.
And I am Stephania.
And I'm Matt.
Thanks for joining us.
And you guys are a reality now. Love you guys. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.